Okay, in the previous video, we looked at the definition of Protozoa, their examples. We looked at the features of Protozoa, and then we stopped here at the classification of Protozoa. So here is an overview of the classification of Protozoa. Protozoa are classified into 7 phyla. The 7 phyla are Sarcomastigophora, Labyrinthomorpha, Epicomplessa, Myxozoa, Microspora, Acetospora, and Ciliophora. These are the 7 phyla under the subkingdom Protozoa. So like I mentioned before in the previous video, you can use slam mark, the mnemonic slam mark, to remember the 7 phyla. S is for the Sarcomastigophora, L is for the Labyrinthomorpha, A is for the Epicomplessa, M is for Myxozoa, the other M is for Microspora, A is for Acetospora, and C is for the Ciliophora. So these are the 7 phyla under the subkingdom Protozoa. So moving on, let's look at the first phylum, which is the phylum Sarcomastigophora. So the word Sarcomastigophora, what does it mean? The word sarco is derived from the Greek word and it means flesh. The word mastis is derived from the Greek word mastis and it means whip. And the word phora is derived from the Greek word and it means bearing. So if we put these three words together, the phylum Sarcomastigophora is a group of protozoa that move by flagella. Flagella is the whip-like structure, or pseudopodia, or both. Pseudopodia is the fleshy-like structure. So the phylum Sarcomastigophora are a group of protozoa that move by flagella. They move by flagella, or they move with the help of a pseudopodia, which is a force feet, or they move with the help of both flagella and pseudopodia. So it is that easy. So this phylum Sarcomastigophora is further divided into 3 subphylum, and the 3 subphylum are Mastigophora, Sarcodina, and Opalinata. Again, the phylum Sarcomastigophora is further divided into 3 subphyla. We have the subphylum Mastigophora, Sarcodina, and Opalinata. So here is just a sketch of the classification of the phylum Sarcomastigophora. Like I said, it is further divided into 3 subphylum. We have the subphylum Mastigophora, and these protozoa, they move with the help of a flagella. Masti, remember the word masti means whip, means flagella. So, and the word phora means bearing. So these are protozoa that bears flagella. Then we have Sarcodina, and these are a group of protozoa that move with the help of a pseudopodia. Then we have the subphylum Opalinata, and they move with cilia-like flagella. They are not cilia, they are not flagella, but the cilium, they are flagella-like. So they move with the help of cilia-like flagella. So this is very important. So let's look at the first subphylum, which is the Mastigophora. So the subphylum Mastigophora, they are a group of protozoa that move with the help of a flagella. They move with the help of a flagella. This is the most important thing to note there. And because of that, they are called flagellates. The organisms here, the protozoa here, they are referred to as flagellates. Why? Because they move with the help of a flagella. Remember the word Mastigophora. Mastis is from the Greek word which means whip, representing a flagella, while phora means bearing. So these are organisms that, or these are a group of protozoa that move by a flagella. They move with the help of a flagella, and that is why they are called flagellates. So the subphylum Mastigophora is further divided into 2 classes. We have the Phytomastigophora. Phyto tells us that these Mastigophora, they are plants. These protozoa are plants, so they are plant-like. Then we have the zoo mastigophora. Zoo means animal, talks about animal. So the zoo mastigophora, they are animal-like. So this is an example of a mastigophora. This is Leishmania. It is an example of a zoo mastigophora. It is animal-like. And it is a mastigophora because of the fact that it has a flagellum. It moves with the help of a flagellum. So again, mastigophora, they are a group of protozoa that move by a flagella. They move with the help of flagella. So this is a flagellum, and this is Leishmania as an example of a zoo mastigophora. So, like I said, the subphylum Mastigophora is further divided into two classes, and the two classes are Phytomastigophora. They are plant-like. Examples are Volvos, Chilomonas, Euglena, Serratium, Peranema, Noctiluca, Gonium, and Eudorina. So these are examples of Phytomastigophora. They are plant-like. So we can use the acronym NICE VCPEG to remember the some of the examples here. So the N here is the Noctiluca. The N in the nines is Noctiluca. V is for Volvos. C is for Chilomonas. P is for Peranema. E is for Euglena and Eudorina. Then G is for the Gonium. So we can use this to remember some of the examples in the class Phytomastigophora. Then we have the zoo mastigophora. They are animal-like. Examples are Trichomonas, Trichonifer, Trypanosome, Leishmania. So we can use the acronym LT raised to power 3 to remember some of the examples. We have Trichomonas, Trichonifer, Trypanosome, and Leishmania. These are examples of the class zoo mastigophora. They are animal-like. So let's look at the first one, the first class, which is Phytomastigophora. Phytomastigophora, they are flagellate-bearing chromoplast or chloroplast. So, like I said, these are mastigophora that are plant-like. So the reason why they are plant-like, the word phyto is referring to a plant. So Phytomastigophora, they are flagellates that bears chromoplast or chloroplast. So this is what makes them plant. An example here, we have volvos. So this is volvos. You can see its colony here that they are green. So that greenish nature is because of the fact that they have chloroplast. So Phytomastigophora, they are flagellates that bears chromoplast or chloroplast. Then their nutrition, because of the fact that they have chloroplast, nutrition in them is autotrophic. And that simply means that these organisms are capable of producing their own food. And when they produce their food, they store food as starch. Then they have one or two flagella. So they may have one, they can also have two flagella. So Volvox, as an example of a Phytomastigophora, has two flagella. It has two flagella. Then their nucleus is vesicular. So this is a very important feature of the class Phytomastigophora. Their nucleus is vesicular. They have a vesicular nucleus. So what is a vesicular nucleus, or what do we mean when we say a cell nucleus is vesicular? So let's take, for example, this is a cell. In this cell, we have the cytoplasm. And within the cytoplasm, we have the nucleus. So this is the nucleus of the cell. And inside the nucleus is the nucleoplasm. Then within this nucleoplasm, there is this dark rounded structure, and it's called the nucleolus. So a vesicular nucleus is a nucleus that is lightly stained. If you look at the nucleus, the nucleoplasm is lightly stained. So a vesicular nucleus is a nucleus that is lightly stained. And the reason why it is lightly stained is due to the fact that the chromatin material that makes up the nucleus, they are not tightly packed together. So the ability to take up stain is very minimal. If we compare it to this nucleus, this is an example of a condensed nucleus. You can see that the nucleoplasm and the nucleolus, they are densely stained. They are darkly stained. Unlike this, if you look at this, it is slightly stained or very clear or somehow clear under a microscope. But in a condensed nucleus, the nucleus is darkly stained under a light microscope. And the reason for this is because the chromatin materials that makes up the nucleus, they are tightly packed together. And so the ability to take up stain is very maximal. So a vesicular nucleus is a nucleus that stains lightly under a light microscope. And the reason for that is because the chromatin material, they are slightly packed together, or they are loosely packed together. So this is a very important feature of the class Phytomastigophora. Their nucleus is vesicular. So examples of protozoa under the class Phytomastigophora are Gonium, Eudorina, Tychodiscus, Volvos, Euglena, Paranema, Noctiluca, Chilomonas, and Serratium. So like I've mentioned before, you can use the acronym NICE VCPEG to remember some of the examples under this class. The N is for the Noctiluca. N here is for the Noctiluca. The V is for Volvos. C is for Chilomonas. You can also use it for the Serratium. P is for the Tychodiscus and Paranema. E is for Eudorina and Euglena. Then the G is for Gonium. So these are examples of protozoa under the class Phytomastigophora. So let's look at the other class, which is Zoomastigophora. So the Zoomastigophora, they are a class of flagellates without chloroplast or chromoplast. The chloroplast is the organelle that is responsible for the production of chlorophyll. Chromoplast, they are organelles that are responsible for production of pigments like carotene. So organisms that do not have, or flagellates that do not have chloroplast or chromoplast, they are referred to as Zoomastigophora. Remember, the word zoo means animal. Mastis is from the Greek word, and it means whip, which in this case were referred to as flagella. Then phora means bearing. So the Zoomastigophora, the class Zoomastigophora, they are flagellates without chloroplast or chromoplast. The organism here, the protozoa here, they possess one or many flagella. Examples are Leishmania, Trypanosoma, Trichonifer, then Trichomonas. So this is a typical example of a Zoomastigophora. This is Trypanosoma. This is the protozoa that is responsible for sleeping sickness. And it is carried by the vector Teteslae. So this is the organism, the protozoa that is responsible for sleeping sickness. It has just one free flagellum that it uses for locomotion, and this is the flagellum. It uses it for locomotion. So having known this, let's dash to the next subphylum, which is the subphylum Opalinata. So the subphylum Opalinata, they are opal in shape. The organisms here, the protozoa here, they are opal in shape. That means that they are egg-like in shape. They are in form of ovum. So this is an example of an Opalinata. You can see the shape. It is opal in shape. It's like an egg. Then a very unique feature of the of the Opalinata is that they have numerous cilia-like structures. Actually, they are cilia-like flagella. So the flagella, they are not really true flagella. They are cilia-like flagella, and it is found distributed around the body of the Opalinata. So they have numerous cilia-like structures or flagella. They have numerous cilia-like structure or flagella around the body. So it is very well explained here as depicted by this diagram. Then another unique characteristic of the Opalinata is that they have no cytostome. In paramecium, the cytostome acts as the mouth. So whenever, let's say, a paramecium wants to feed, it uses its cilia to sweep food into the cytostome, and then the food goes into the gullet. So for the fact that Opalinata, they look like paramecium, for instance, not that they are really like the paramecium, but because of these cilia-like structures, you would expect that they will have a cytostome. Opalinata do not have a cytostome. Just know this. They do not have a cytostome. Then another unique feature of the Opalinata is that they have two or more monomorphic nuclei. Mono means one, morphic means form. So when we say monomorphic nuclei, it means that the nuclei have one form. The nuclei exist in one form. So if you look at this Opalina, you will discover that it has a lot of nucleus. All these small dots that you see, they are the nucleus. They are very many, they are numerous, and they are just one form, they exist in one form. So they have two or more monomorphic nuclei. This is a very important feature of the subphylum Opalinata. Then another feature of the Opalinata is that they are all parasitic. All the members here are parasitic, and they are basically parasitic on amphibians. They are parasitic on amphibians. So this is very important too. You can be asked in an exam that which of the following organism is parasitic on amphibians. So when you see Opalinata there, when you see any Opalinata there, you should pick Opalinata. Also, reproduction in this organism is by binary or multiple fission. So let's say this is the cell of the organism. This is the cell. So like we said, they have two or more nuclei. So let's assume that this Opalina, okay, let's draw the shape well here. So let's assume that this Opalina has two nuclei. So what will happen is that in binary fission, the nuclei will divide into two, and each fragment of these two nuclei will develop into a new organism. In multiple fission, the nucleus will divide into many fragments, and each fragment will not develop into a new organism. So reproduction in Opalinata is by binary or multiple fission. These are examples of asexual reproduction. It does not require the fusion of the male and female gametes. The nucleus on its own will divide into two, a process known as binary fission, and each of the nuclei will develop into a new organism. Or it can be by multiple fission, in which a nucleus will divide into different parts, and each fragment will develop into a new organism. So very important, reproduction in Opalinata can be by binary fission or by multiple fission, and these are examples of asexual reproduction. So examples of protozoa under the subphylum Opalinata, they are Opalina, Protoopalina, then Zeleriella. These are examples of protozoa under the subphylum Opalinata. So just a quick recap. Opalinata, they are opal in shape. They have numerous cilia-like structures or flagella around the body, as you can see in this diagram. They have no cytostome, which acts as the mouth. Then they have two or more monomorphic nuclei. The nuclei, they are very many, and they exist in one form. So it's very well depicted in this diagram. Then all the members are parasitic, and they are basically parasitic on amphibians. Reproduction can be by binary or multiple fission, and these are examples of asexual reproduction. So let's dash to the next subphylum, which is the subphylum Sarcodina. So, like I said before, the word Sarcodina is derived from the word sarco, which means flesh. So these organisms, they move with the help of a pseudopodia. This is one of the unique features of the subphylum Sarcodina. They move with the help of a pseudopodia. The word pseudo means false, podia means feet. So these organisms move with the help of a pseudopodia. So if you look at this diagram, you can see the protozoa moving with the help of its pseudopodia. It is extending its pseudopodia out. This is one of it, extending out. As it is extending it out, it is moving from one place to another. So this is what we refer to as the pseudopodia, also known as the force feet. So Sarcodina, they move with the help of the pseudopodia. Then nutrition is holozoic or sporozoic. Nutrition in Sarcodina is holozoic or sporozoic. When we say it is holozoic, it means that these organisms feed on other smaller organisms. They extend to other smaller organisms and then they engulf these organisms and then eat them up. Or the nutrition can be sporozoic. And what that means that is that the nutrition in them can be parasitic. It can be parasitic. Then most members are free living. So most members in most protozoa, most examples of protozoa in this subphylum, they are free living. They are free living. So the free living ones, they are holozoic in nutrition. They exhibit holozoic mode of nutrition. While the other ones, which are not free living, basically which are parasitic, they exhibit the parasitic mode of nutrition or the sporozoic mode of nutrition. They are the most simplest protozoa. So this is very important. The most simplest protozoa are the Sarcodina. They are Sarcodina. Then asexual reproduction is by binary and multiple fission. Asexual reproduction in the Sarcodina, they are by binary or multiple fission. So examples of protozoa under the subphylum Sarcodina, they are amoeba, acilla, entamoeba, actinophrys, globerina, clathrulina, diflugia, Ephidium, then Acanthometra. These are examples of protozoa under the subphylum Sarcodina. Again, we have amoeba, acella, entamoeba, actinophrys, globerina, clathrulina, diflugia, Ephidium, then Acanthometra. So, just a quick summary. We've looked at the first phylum under the subkingdom Protozoa. So we have the subkingdom Protozoa here. We have Protozoa, and they are divided into 7 phyla. So the first phyla is the phylum Sarcomastigophora, and the phylum Sarcomastigophora is further divided into 3 subphyla. So all these are subphyla. Is further divided into 3 subphyla. We have the subphyla Mastigophora, and we have looked at them. They move with the help of a flagella. And under the subphyla Mastigophora, we still have 2 classes. So this subphyla Mastigophora is divided into 2 classes. We have the Phytomastigophora, then we have the Zoomastigophora. So these are organisms that move, these are protozoa that move with the help of a flagella. They are divided into 2 classes. into two classes. We have the Phytomastigophora, and two, we have the Zoomastigophora. These are plant-like flagellates, and these are animal-like flagellates. Then the other subphyla, we have the Sarcodina. They move with the help of a pseudopod. They are very important. Then we have the subphylum Opalinata, and they move with the help of a cilia-like flagella. And these cilia-like flagella, they are usually distributed around the body of the organism. So having known all this, we are still looking at the classification of the subkingdom Protozoa. Like we said, they are divided into 7 phyla. We have Sarcomastigophora, Labyrinthomorpha, Epicomplexa, Myzozoa, Microspora, Cetospora, and Celiophora. So we have looked at everything that has to do with the Sarcomastigophora, and this is just a summary of it. The phylum Sarcomastigophora is divided into 3 subphyla. We have the subphylum Mastigophora, Sarcodina, and Opalinata. And this classification is just based on what they use for their movement. Mastigophora, they move with the help of a flagella. Sarcodina, they move with the help of a pseudopodia. Then the Opalinata, they move with the help of cilia-like flagella. So the next phylum we're going to look at is the Labyrinthomorpha. So the Labyrinthomorpha, the organism, the protozoa here, they are spindle-shaped or spherical, non-amoeboid vegetative body. They have a spindle-shaped or spherical, non-amoeboid vegetative body. So you can see this organism, it is spindle-shaped. It has this shape like this. A shape that tapers at both ends. So they have a spindle shape. And the organism here, they are mostly marine. Labyrinthomorpha, they are mostly marine. They are found in the marine habitat. That's the seawater. In the sea, they are found basically in the sea and ocean, in saltwater environment. Also, they are saprozoic or parasitic on algae. They are parasitic on algae. They carry out a parasitic, or they feed through parasitic nutrition on algae. So an example of Labyrinthomorpha is the Labyrinthula. So it has been recorded that Labyrinthula killed some of the eelgrass on the Atlantic coast. So this is a very important fact. You can be asked in an exam that which of the following protozoa killed some of the eelgrasses on the Atlantic coast. So you should know that it is Labyrinthula. So again, Labyrinthula, they are spindle-shaped. They are mostly marine, which tells us that they are mostly found in the ocean and sea. They are parasitic on algae, very important. And a typical example is Labyrinthula that killed some of the eelgrasses on the Atlantic coast. So this is very important. The next phylum we're going to look at is Apicomplexa, and we'll continue with this in our next video. Thank you very much for listening.